Another question. This one's from Matthew. You often talk about founders needing to be in Silicon Valley in order to be close to the action, sort of like needing to be in Vegas or LA to get into the big poker games. Post-COVID, how does this change? Do places like Sydney, Vancouver, Beijing become game change cities? Great question, Matthew. So I always advised, I would say up until maybe 3 or 4 years ago, if you're going to start a company, come to Silicon Valley, deal with the high rents, and be close to the power, the energy, the check writers. And I think that was the best practice 3 or 4 years ago. And then something happened over the last 3 or 4 years where it became insanely expensive to live here. And if we invested in a company, their money would go very quick if they were here. But they would be near a lot of money and they would get more money and it would work out, I think, to still be here. But taking the money from San Francisco, like let's say you raised $1 million, and then you bring it back to Canada or you bring it to Florida or Austin or some other place and you run a remote company, well, you can see the efficiency. And so we didn't have the sense back then that more than 5 or 10 companies would be remote first. And the ones that were remote first, it often felt like they were leaving something on the table. Facebook, Uber, Microsoft, Google, YouTube. I don't think that these companies would have hit scale, true, meaningful venture scale, if they were virtual first, or they were work from home first. Now, if everybody chooses to be work from home, that does change the context. It does change the system we're all operating in. But I still don't know if those companies would have been built. Now, people will point to Envision or WordPress, my friend Matt's company. And the cynical take on that was, well, maybe if Matt Mullenweg had a company that was all in one place, maybe their company would be bigger. Maybe it would be a $10 billion company. That's a bit of a cynical take. And I don't know that I share it, but I don't also disagree that if everybody's in the room, things can work better. So I think hybrid is what things will be in the future. And what's going to happen for companies is when they become work from home or hybrid, which will become, I think hybrid becomes the default, they will learn now that they've learned how to manage remote workers, they're going to see which workers overperform and underperform, because you don't get to see somebody in the office for 60 hours a week and say that person's killing it because they came in at 8 and they left at 8, or they did 9 to 9, or they were here on the weekend. That was how we judged people previously. Now we're going to judge them on the work and the output that you see in their reporting and you see in their end of the day report and end of week report and in Slack. So things have changed. And if you can hire people anywhere, that means you're going to hire people, I believe, for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 less than you will in San Francisco. And then eventually people will get so good at this, they might be good at managing people in other countries, and maybe people who maybe English is a second language if you're an American company, or Japanese is a second language if you're a Japanese company, et cetera. So I think this does take the Silicon Valley operating system and spread it a little bit further. I think companies will be more nimble. They'll have a lower cost basis. They'll get rid of their office space and they'll be able to hire quicker, and people will stay with companies longer. For certain people, the flexibility of working from home is great. For other people, it's maddening. For me, it's maddening to be at home every day. I want to get out of the house. I want to meet people, but my job is very interactive. For other people, if you're a writer or if you're a developer, maybe you don't want to be around other people. Maybe you just want to concentrate. And maybe introverts want to work from home. Extroverts want to work in the office. It could be, as simple as that. And it will be a big change. I do believe we're going to get through the COVID thing relatively quickly. I think we're going to solve it. I think this time next year, let's call it third quarter of 2021, we will be making jokes about coronavirus and saying, why to corona? And, oh, wasn't that hilarious? We all thought we were going to die. And it was, we solved it. And look, the world's amazing and we know better for the future. So hopefully we do figure this one out and everything goes back to normal. And then we learn a couple of new skills in our skill set. But one of the great things that's happening in San Francisco right now is I heard rents are down 10 to 20% in the middle of this crisis because people just left. People who were on month-to-month leases left. So and then I heard conversely in some places like Tahoe or other places, maybe rents went up because people were looking to go other places. That means a younger generation or people who maybe were priced out of the city, who were taking long commutes, they can now live in the city or live closer to work. And I believe that is going to make maybe San Francisco will feel like it did after the last two busts, after the dot-com bust and after 2008 and that bust, where people felt a little more affordable. And that's not a bad thing. Boom bust cycles are a good thing. But I think cities are still going to win the day. Maybe that's a contrarian position, but I think cities win the day.